before I get started, and it's not up here, I can guarantee y'all, we take the property value study very seriously, okay? In fact, we've been one of the most proactive counties in the state of Texas. There's 254 of them. We've actually filed lawsuits against the state. We have, in fact, we have a law firm on retainer, specifically to be able to combat the values that the state says compared to ours, which when he was talking about an invalid finding and a valid finding, historically speaking, we've always been valid for all our 15 school districts in our county. A few years ago, I think we had like 7 school districts that were invalid. The process itself is arduous. It's a large task that our staff puts together to combat the work that we feel that the state is inadequate on. And for the most part, we wind up having some positive relief out of it. We had one school district, I think it was 19 in 20 or 19, that we didn't pass. So that was Mission. And we hired a law firm and we went as far as trying to go to court. We went through SOA, State Office of Administrative Hearing. We started with the informals, then we go to SOA, then we filed a lawsuit, then the pandemic hit. So when all that happened, that's when Zoom came into the light. So the state was trying to get it thrown out. The judge would have nothing of it. The good thing is the way this thing is structured, we never made it to the second year of the grace period. So needless to say, Mission was put back into the valid category. Right now, last year for 21, we were invalid on 4 school districts: McAllen, PSJ, Elsa, and Progreso. And we have this, it's like a boxing match with the state all the time. We had never had that issue with McAllen. So we went to Austin, and we were in the middle of protest season. We went up there and we fought with them. We went in there with binders galore, trying to fight the state. There was like 10 of them and 3 or 4 of us. We were able to get McAllen back in, PSJ back in, and Progreso back in. Unfortunately, Elsa was not one of those that we were able to get back in, which means they get audited the next year. That's what happened in this case. The state came back for 22 and said Elsa is invalid again. So we're appealing what they're doing. We have the attorney on board. Then I hear about this bill that it almost seems like it's a moot point, but I can guarantee you, we do take our job seriously. We sent out 287,000 notices this year. We have about 350,000 parcels in the state, in the county. This is probably the most notices we've ever sent out. So the increases are still there. What we've noticed is, and I know I'm getting off base, I know why you guys are here, but if you're a citizen of the county, you probably, as I said, got our notices. What we're noticing is the values are still going up. The inventory is going down. People still want to sell their house for a lot more than it was before the pandemic. So when you have somebody, you say, well, why is my value gone up 10, 15, 20, 30%? Because the market is actually still trending upwards, even though it's slowing down. During the pandemic, people were bidding on homes, never heard of before, unheard of, all over the state. Now, while you're not having to do that, it might, instead of a week for the house to sell, it might take 30 days or maybe 45 days. So that is still coming into our office, and it's showing us that we have a ways to go to catch up on the value. I know everybody, we sent out the letters on Monday to everybody. They're conservative. We are aware of Senate Bill 3, which was mentioned by our prior, about the exemption going up from 40 to 70, the over 65 going up from 10 to 30. But the way they have it structured, and I don't know if that was mentioned here, it's going to have to go through a constitutional amendment. Did the speaker mention that? Josh, can you admit yourself?
Yeah, repeat the question.
When you spoke about Senate Bill 3, Josh, this is George.
Yeah.
By the way, was there any mention made about the fact that there was going to have to be a constitutional amendment passed by the voters in November in regards to that bill?
Senate Bill 3, you mean, are you talking about House Bill 3, the school safety bill?
No, the Senate bill, I think your colleague mentioned it at the end regarding the $70,000 homestead exemption and the
Oh,
$30,000
right, yeah.
exemption.
No, we didn't mention that specifically. I mean, I think the last homestead exemption passed like, I don't know, 99%, you know, something like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So-
yeah, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is this: the chief appraiser, according to that bill, has to certify the value we have based on the $40,000. Then, if it passes, which it probably will, like you said, 99%, he's going to have to issue supplemental changes, which will go to the tax office, and he will have to issue supplemental, I guess, if people have paid, probably refunds, or if people haven't paid, an adjusted bill that shows what you're going to be paying if you're over 65. So there's some complexities there that did not happen last year when we all voted in May for the $40,000, which happened before we certified. This is going to happen after we certify. So the chief appraisers are caught in between. What do I do it now? Do I wait? Well, the law says I have to wait. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that is correct. And as I said, that's what complicates things, because if it passes, the voters, us, will not vote on it till November. I'm sorry, I apologize. Will not vote on it till November. Okay, so that being said, I covered the property value study and what we do. We sent out 287,000 notices. We've given you all the totals. We mailed them out on Monday. Hopefully everybody already received them. We are in a value year this year. Whatever we certify in 23, we will get information from the state in January of next year. And if your question is, why do we keep values going up? I just mentioned to y'all, and our ratios, our passing ratio is between 95 and 105. So as long as the state says we haven't met that threshold, they keep telling us that our values are too low. I remember one of the board members, when we did a presentation with Mission, they asked us, what is the state saying? They're saying your values are too low. I said, and one of the board members, and I don't remember his name, says, you guys are too high. We are one of the more, I guess, affordable counties in the state, believe it or not, because other parts of the state, that's not the case. So whatever value you got, of course, what's important to you or into your constituents is, I'm worried about me. I'm not worried about somebody in Austin or Dallas or Houston or anything like that. Okay?
Mr. Gonzalez, we've got a question. The question is, are TRS disabled retirees eligible for disability freeze?
If they are disabled and they have the proper documentation, they can come to our office and make the necessary arrangements through the application process so that we can go ahead and get them qualified.
Thank you.
Yes. And real quick here, as y'all know, we're governed by the state, just like you guys are, okay? This is a quick synopsis of our calendar. Right now, we're in the protest period. We sent out the notices on April the 15th, the 14th, and the protest deadline is May the 15th. So if you haven't and you want to, make sure you don't forget to file your protest. This is the cycle, the calendar itself, okay? We usually go out in the field in August for January 1st, so we're a year ahead of you all. Whatever you're trying to do for last year, we're already starting off for next year. We fly the county once a year from August through November. And our growth has just been exponential. The state requires us to check your property at least once every 3 years. We've gotten to a point where we have to check properties almost every year. Okay, so that's why if you say, well, they hit me last year, why are they hitting me again this year? That's because there's been so much change, so much growth. And then of course, the market is just still going crazy, okay? As I said, that's a quick synopsis of what we do. Right now, as you can see right here, we are appraisal districts, notices of appraised value, April through May. We have to certify the total by July the 25th so that all the entities can get the information that they require for what you all need to do, okay? Let me see. And I'm sorry, how do I go back to the next slide? Okay, sorry about that. I'm still old fashioned. Yes, go to the next one, please. Oh, that's what it is. Did you want to use? Let me see. Yeah, that won't work. Yes, thank you. I trust that everybody has already kind of looked this over, and I put this together based on, this is the one from Texas A&M University, and the growth that we've had over the last, what is that, 11 years? The median price. The most important thing to look at here is the median price and the average price of homes. And you can see how that, according to Texas A&M University, the value of the median size value of homes is basically doubled. This one's more specific to our county, Hidalgo, Edinburgh, and Mission. The median price, according to, and this is also once again put together by Texas Realtors Association and Texas Real Estate Center. And it basically shows an increase. What we've noticed, as I said, is the month of inventories has actually gone up because the prices have because of the mortgage rates. That automatically affected everybody. We thought it was going to slow it down. Trust me, we thought the values were going to start going down, but they haven't. And I always tell the public, our job is not to determine the market, it's to measure it statutorily. So what we do is what we're required to do by law. And within that report, well, this is the one for, I'm sorry, January of 21, February of 22. You see how it went from 172 in January of 21 to 205,000 on the median price. And then for this year, it shows 207. And you said, well, George, that shows a 3.8% increase from last year to this year. That's assuming we were already at the market value of the year before. So we kind of had to play catch up. And everybody here knows that the state of Texas is a non-disclosure state, which means if you buy a property, you don't have to tell us what you bought it for. So the state says we still have to figure it out. But thankfully, the internet offers a lot of tools that we're able to actually be able to determine what the market is based on Zillow, all these other companies that are out there that give us information as to what they're listing for. And we're able to determine if they're listed, how much they transferred for, what's the ratio there, so we're able to come up with a number. Okay, all this is a prerequisite of the state, and the state does the exact same thing that we do. They just come and make sure that, as I said, that we're doing our job. I mean, if they came back and told us you're okay at 80% of the ratio, trust me, your values wouldn't have gone up as much. That's not the case. As I said before, with House Bill 100 that Josh was mentioning, I seriously doubt that our chief appraiser is gonna say, well, I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's a statutory job that we have to do. It's like if they told the teacher, don't worry about half of your kids not passing, you know, you're still good. You're still gonna do your job. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need your help again. I'm just gonna go to the last slide and then we can talk about the estimated totals if anybody has any questions. And the way I structure my presentations, I feed off of what you all have. My audience is typically different than this. Usually people are throwing stuff at me. The last one, please. Thank you. Yeah. Do it online. That's a good question. We have an online portal that is very beneficial to you and to us because you never have to leave the comfort of your house or your office. And typically what will happen is within a few days, you'll have an offer from one of the appraisers, depending on what we have or what you upload into the portal. And I highly encourage y'all doing that. You can still come to our office and drop off the protest or mail it. The difference here is that when you open it online, it's automatically open and we'll get it on our site. Whereas if you submit it the old fashioned way, like I would do it, it's gonna take a few days before I even open them because those are manually inputted. So, you know, when I answer questions, as I said, I know what y'all are about here, but if you have specific questions about yourself or people that are asking you, I'm open to all of that. That's not a problem, okay? This report here, that was the third attachment I had. That's more specific to some of y'all's regions. You see Alamo, Donna, and these regions are not, the boundaries are not school district related, they're more city related. I can tell you what, there's been an explosion on permits. Like we had last year, for 23, we have 276 subdivisions, the total of which is almost 6,700 new lots. And let me go back on in 20 we had 5,200 new homes, and fast forward to 23 we have 6,000 new homes. So we have, I mean, subdivisions that are being built left and right, and some of the cities are running out of space, so they go out of the county. You've had a lot of cities annex. Tres Lagos up here north of us here, and as soon as they build them, they will come. That's what's happening. You know, it's like, you know, people are building homes and they're getting so, it has slowed down. We've noticed that it has slowed down. Okay. As I said, this one here is more specific to your area, and as of January 23, this is not, as I said, this is not information that we've compiled. It's information that's available through the internet, and we have it on our website for y'all's information. You know, when somebody comes and protests, they say, "What do I use?" Look, how much did you buy it for if you just purchased it? I know a lot of people come in and say, "Well, I'm gonna probably never sell it, and I'm gonna die in this house." We understand that, but the law doesn't allow us to skip your house if you've owned it for so many years. It requires us to be fair and equitable, okay? It's not just the house that's sold, it's all the homes in your region, in your subdivision, in your school district, in your city that we have to look at. So, you know, we just finished working, and as I said, we do it we tear it up, 3 pieces of a pie. And with this year, we reappraised PSJ, Westlaco, Mercedes Donna, Progreso, and Progreso. And next year, we're gonna do Elsa, La Villa, Monte Alto, Edinburgh, and La Jolla next year. And then the following year, we'll come to the McAllen, Sharyland Mission area. We have it divvied up. But as I said before, if I'm working in PSJ, but McAllen has 200 new homes, we get permits from the city, and we'll go out there and measure those homes so we can put them on the tax roll. You know, we try and do our job as adequately as we can. We're still located on 4405 South Professional Drive. Yes, ma'am. Let me see. It's not in there. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. As I said, this is more city boundaries, not school district. Okay. We have 1,500 square miles in our county. That's our geographic area. Geographically speaking, Edinburgh and La Jolla are probably the ones that take up the most area. There's a lot of rural areas in those areas, but a lot less than there used to be. Does that make sense? There's a lot more development. There's more subdivisions coming up left and right. As far as, does anybody have any other questions on this? And I can proceed to the estimates that we have. And if anybody has questions, you can stop me. Were you all in awe when you got our notices? Yes. You probably said you guys are being inadequate. You don't know what you're doing. So we sent out the certified estimates as were required by law. I believe the range is between 5% and 8% for most of y'all. Please keep in mind that these numbers are what they are based on the fact that we send out all these notices and that a lot of people might protest or appeal, and there's going to be adjustments. And we didn't just do this on the residential side, we also did it on the commercial side. There's a lot of, it seems like in the old days, you used to have a convenience store in every corner, now you have a car wash. You know, I don't understand that. And they're on corners that you would think this is ideal for a little convenience store. You can go make a quick run for goodies. Not anymore. Like they're all over the place. So all these types of industries, that's a lot of money being invested, a lot of infrastructure. So obviously, those are things that we try and keep on top of, and we'll put them on the tax roll as soon as we have an opportunity to do so. So we have new commercial. I was reading this morning that the shops in Mercedes is going to have brand new stores, one of which is going to be the Lucchese store and children's store. So that's great. You know, lately I think they've fallen off. You know, there's dollar stores and things of that nature. The Plaza Mall still has a lot of vacancies. And remember, we not only assess the building, we also assess the contents of a building. So you have what's called the personal property. You know, so you have a Dillard's that has a certain value, and then we have to appraise that. Once all this is said and done, remember on the values that we gave you, not only do we have to wait till the ARB, the Appraisal Review Board, sets their values, we also have to anticipate that we might have arbitrations and lawsuits. I handle the lawsuits at the office, and we've been really busy, and I anticipate we're going to be busier next year. In fact, our attorney says that, you know, he has to eat too. So we're going to have lawsuits from usually the bigger industries, and a lot of people do arbitration, which is something that the state comptroller has installed to try and accommodate people who can't afford to file a lawsuit. We hope that it doesn't get to that point. So we try and evidence that you have, as I said, you have issues with your house, tell your friends, your family, look, take pictures, foundation issues, roof issues, you just bought it, you have an appraisal, a recent appraisal, crack foundation, like I said, crack foundation. All of those things are things that are valuable to us so that we can go ahead and use it. Because remember, when we do what we do, if the state puts that account in their study, we have to show them why we adjusted it. So if we have evidence to show them, then we can go ahead and use that in our favor so that they can go ahead and make their necessary adjustments. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I was told till 10:30, but I started a little bit late, so. Yes, there's a question right here.
Why did the median price of Rio Grande City increase more than all of the percentages of all the other cities they have combined?
You know, that report, yeah, let me give them the.
Why did the median price percentage of Rio Grande City increase more than all of the other cities that you have here combined?
First, let me see if I can answer it. I won't have a direct answer because that's Stark County. But if you look at how many active listings there were in January 23rd, it might be the amount of activity. So when you have a year before, the sales were, you know, a few $100,000 less, and all of a sudden they have a handful of sales that are extremely high, that kind of skews the numbers, right? I'm only estimating that that's what happened. As I said, in the actual report that I have, I deleted Rio Grande City, but I forgot that I had submitted that to your all's report. That kind of blew me away too when I saw that too. But I can only think that the amount of inventory that was for sale and a few of them were probably a lot higher, so that kind of skewed the numbers. Does anybody else have any other questions? That's a good question though. Romal, I thank you so much for inviting us. This is always a pleasure coming over here.